So I don't know if you've ever heard of politics or politicians, but if you have, there's one thing you know for sure, and that's that they're evil, out of touch, not always looking at the public's best interest. They've got their own interests, unfortunately. In England, there's an organization that's working to rectify that, to bring the public interest back into the public space. Fair charge. I got to speak with Quinton, who is fairly well known, about this. And apologies, early on in the video the sound is a little loud on my part. We got it fixed towards the end. New microphone issues. I didn't have sufficient time to test them. Unacceptable. I apologize. I'll do better in the future. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend.
Let me just put here this.
Yeah. So we're here at Fully Charged. Queen's got some information for us about Fair Charge. Tell us about the campaign, would you?
So Fair Charge is a lobby group that makes the government do more to electrify the UK. So more education, lower costs, more affordable electricity, reducing tax on electricity and tax on EVs. So we've got 50 peers and MPs who support us, and we're regularly in the House of Parliament and the House of Lords just educating people in government about EVs.
And what kind of campaign, what kind of inequality are we seeing today in the UK when it comes to charging?
Well, if you charge on a home charger, the VAT on the electricity is 5%, which is great. But if you charge on a public charger, which 40% of the population have to do because they don't have driveways, then the VAT on that electricity is 20%. This is a major disincentive to convert. We're also seeing a lot of lobbying from fossil fuel from car makers who don't want the electrification transition. So we have to kind of keep that narrative even-handed and tell people about the benefits of EVs, because there's 1.1 million people in the UK who now drive plug-in cars, and we don't hear their voices. What we are hearing are the anti-EV, fossil fuel lobbyists, extreme people who don't want the electrification and zero-emission world.
And so the disparity between the 5% home charging and the 20% public charging means people who have a £1 million house get better deals on their electricity for their car.
Completely. It's almost like a social divide, the haves and the have-nots. If you've got a nice driveway and a nice charger, then you're ahead, because also you're able to access lower tariffs for electricity costs at night. So people who don't have these big houses with the driveways and just have no on-street parking, not only do they have to pay this extra 20% of the public charger, they can't access the low costs, which at night is about 7.5p a kilowatt hour. So they're doubly punished. So it's really socially divisive.
A lot of rapid chargers are at what, 45p?
Well, some of the ultra rapids are now 90p. So it's almost the same as putting up with diesel or petrol.
And you're paying 10 times more, in some cases, or even more because of the VAT, than if you just charged home. And what you're saying is, that seems like an obstacle to the adoption.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 40% of the population not having the access to public chargers. So here we are fully charged in Farnborough. And there are lots of people here, in fact. But these are the people who are already electric car drivers. And it's the unconverted, if you like, that we need to talk to. This is the choir, and they already know how to sing. We need to get the people who don't know how to sing here and converting to electric cars. And it's about energy independence, it's about clean air, and it's about, weaning ourselves off Saudi Arabia and Russia and gas and oil and monopolistic regimes.
And for the folks who can afford the big fancy house, they can even go with solar and drop their prices even further. And yeah, if you're going to end up charging someone 10 times as much, boy, that is terrible. So what are some of the initiatives? Equalize the VAT between home and public charging. What else?
Okay, so also we want to be able to convert combustion cars to battery. And at the moment, there's a complicated set of regulations that means that you can't ever get lower road tax on your converted car. You can't road to low emission zones with your converted car because it's still on the government computer as a combustion car. This is nuts. We need to just change that as well. So there's lots of levers that the government needs to do to start, establishing a new industry. We need to have a battery factory in the UK. We've got to understand that if we're transporting batteries all around the world on ships with bunker diesel, that's not very green at all. So we need to establish that industry here in the UK. And the government just needs to understand that this is the future. It's got to happen. Otherwise, we'll do what we've always done, which is burn more hydrocarbons at even greater cost.
So in some countries, they push all these things. They push the green initiatives. And what it sounds like is in the UK, in many cases, and I talked with Matthew at London Electric Cars, who had a lot of choice words about how the DVLA stands in the way of reclassifying antique cars that have been electrified. It sounds like not only are they not pushing, but they're setting up roadblocks.
So the real problem is that not enough people in government or in the civil service drive electric cars. So behind me, you see lots of shots of me at Parliament and the House of Lords. And you talk to these peers of these MPs, and their knowledge base is so limited because you just don't drive them, they don't own them, they've never been in them, and they're listening to all the stuff on social media and on mainstream media that tells them that electric cars are no good and this is just a fad and it's all going to go away and we're going to carry on driving our diesels and our petrols. So it's an uphill battle to educate parliamentarians on EVs and how they work and why they're good. And the technology now, I mean, I get 300 miles to one charge on my car, and I've done 30,000 miles, and it's cost me about £100 of maintenance in all that time. And these are messages that we need to get out more, because ultimately your maintenance costs are 40% less than a combustion car. Your fuel costs, obviously, if you're not charging on a public charger, are significantly less. And it's a relaxing drive with no pollution in the cabin, or limited pollution in the cabin. So, the public health issue here is really important too, because all the particulates from petrol and diesel, the PM10s, the PM2.5s, this is linked to so many diseases now. So, if it's public health, it's affordability, it's cheap energy, why are we resisting this?
And for that matter, I don't know if you've noticed, but London, since allowing the EVs to get into the congestion zone, has gotten quiet.
It's got quieter, it's also got cleaner. I've got a house in London and my curtains were always black with diesel, with these little ultrafine particles. But it is getting better, but we need more. And there's pushback against that too in London. And London has the most EVs, I think, of anywhere in the UK. And it is quieter, and they're lining lots of streets now because they've been given incentives to be able to drive in London and not have to pay taxes. So again, let's look at those levers. How do we make it easier and better? Free parking for all EVs across the country. What's wrong with that?
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell people what they need to do is go to faircharge.co.uk, change.org/faircharge, and on Twitter, fairchargeuk. Quentin, I want to thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
So there it is, and there you go. That was the interview with Quentin from Fair Charge. Oh, I would love to have an advocacy group like that looking out for people in America. I would love to have someone pushing for more chargers, for more mandates on chargers at apartments and condos, for an ability to get street lamps converted to street chargers. All kinds of things that could be done, but so far haven't been. A big thanks to my patrons, who are the reason I was able to do this trip in the first place, to meet all these amazing people. Oh, it's windy. It's so windy. And for the rest of you guys, just like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that. Would you like to see advocacy like this wherever you live? Where do you live? I'm curious. What did I miss? What did I misunderstand? All that good stuff. Leave your wisdom, your brilliance, all that into them comments below, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots after the shareholder meeting. Did that already happen? Ooh, maybe. I have my QR code, so we shall see.
I've just come back from, so you're American?
Yes, American.
So I've come back from Orlando, having rented a Hertz.
Yes. What a fantastic. Isn't it wonderful? What's a great car?
It made it the whole seamless thing, just pick it up at Orlando Airport, get into it, and then we did 1,300 miles and no shortage of chargers.
Yeah, in the U.S., the supercharger network is the gold standard.
It's brilliant.
Because it just works.
And the amount of certainly Teslas I saw on Florida roads was really high. You invented the pickup truck, and here we are. The penetration of Tesla, certainly in Florida, was amazing. I was really, really surprised.
Yeah, and especially in the coastal cities, they are everywhere. And if you get to California, especially in the Bay Area where they're from, yeah, you can't back out without bumping into two.
People's Republic of California.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And one problem with EV adoption in the U.S. is Electrify America was a compliance required nonsense. And as a result, they just ruled out. They were required to put in stalls. They weren't required to make them work. And by God, did they make sure that was the case. They felt like they were sabotaging it on purpose, but they didn't want to sabotage.
But here's the thing, why don't we have conversations? Because I think Biden's Inflation Reduction Act is a threat to the UK. We need to work together because we've gone down this road earlier than you have observed and are suffering the same problems that you will suffer. So,
Which is?
Well, like the anti-EV, you went to your fossil fuel industry and Detroit really starts going because they will really, really push against this. So you need to be ready for that, and you need to get people to understand there is an education program, and what is a threat to us, we can tell you stuff that's been happening, and we want to work with America. We want this to be a global initiative of clean air for all, energy independence, and move on this historic moment, energy transition, make it work.
One of the stupid things we do, a lot of countries have removed the import tariffs on EVs just to get ahead. We still have 28% import tariffs on Chinese cars, and BYD would love to get into the U.S., but they thought we got BYD buses, but not cars because they would have to build a factory, and that's a big ask. That's $3-4 billion for an uncertain future.
And you need to watch the Chinese because they are all confident and they control the mineral supply chain or the cobalt, close to the lithium. So I get that need where attention is. But, it's a bigger picture. We need to look at it and make the right decisions. And I think we've got a lot that we can tell America, and America's got a lot that they can tell us about it. So rather than this narrative that IRA is a threat to Europe and a threat to the UK, it's something we should all be working in it together.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome.
And I love Americans.
Yeah.